there, it's Bike Touring Mike here again, back with another commuting video. And as you can see, since the last commute we have gotten some warm weather, so the snow is starting to melt away, and that has made my commute a little bit interesting, since the asphalt is visible on some parts of my commute, and then we hit patches of ice like this with slush. So going from almost perfect conditions the last week to now pretty miserable conditions, since it's either a bunch of puddles of water or slushy ice that I have to plow through. So I'm really glad I have my studded tires on my old winter bike. I think I mentioned during the last commute video that we have some pretty big differences in temperature between my morning commute and my afternoon commute. So this morning we had -3 degrees Celsius, and right now we have around 7 or 8 degrees Celsius. So it makes everything kind of tricky because all the slush that you see now freeze during the night. So in the morning everything is really slippery, and in the afternoon all the snow thaws up and becomes this slushy, nasty thing that I have to plow through. I think we're gonna take another way back home this day, so I'm gonna show you some other residential areas here in this town called Skelleftehamn. I took this route in the morning, and most of the route had exposed asphalt, so compared to the other road, this is a lot easier to go on. I'd much rather go on this designated bike and pedestrian path, but to compare the conditions on the road towards this, I'm sticking on the road here. In Sweden it's actually legal to cycle on the road even if there's a bike path going along it, as long as the speed limit on the road is 50 kilometers an hour. So I'm staying on this road since there's usually not a lot of cars driving on this one. Here the bike path actually looks nice. I'm gonna head up on that one. So I think my last commute took about an hour, and yesterday we had even worse conditions than we have right now. So it took me about an hour and 10 minutes to get home. Plus, once I got home, maybe 20 minutes or so just to wash off the bike, get all the dirt and grime off it, and put my clothes in the dryer so everything would be dry in the morning again. So at the moment I think my bike commute in total takes around 2.5 up to 3 hours every day, so quite the investment of time, but it's so nice to get out now when it's getting a lot warmer and the sun is shining as well. So okay, now we're passing through the center of a town called Ursviken. On my left here is an ice hockey arena where I sometimes do some refereeing, and my kids also play a lot of games there. Their team is not located in that arena, but this town in Ursviken is their local rivals. I want to go up in this bike path again here. So far the bike commuting has been a pure enjoyment. I'm feeling a lot more alert at work, and I'm also a lot more tired in the evenings, which can be both a good thing and a bad thing. But I take the good over the bad, since I feel like I'm sleeping much better when I'm cycling every day. See if we can get back on the road again here. And since here in Sweden we've kind of been living in darkness for the last 3 or 4 months, so it's important to take every opportunity to be out in the sun here in the spring and get some vitamin D. Swedes are typically really active in their spare time, so you see a lot of people out exercising after work. It's wise to go on the ice here. It's much more even. Going on this kind of crushed ice makes everything much harder. So as you probably saw when I went down that last downhill, that the low standing sun is blazing in your eyes. So it's really important to be visible for the cars. That's why I'm wearing this reflective jacket, and I also got some rear blinking lights so the cars can see me. So if this warm weather continues, we might even have bare ground the whole way from work back to home for next week. But I'm quite used to the weather here in Sweden, and I know we usually get these setbacks, and I just looked at the forecast for the upcoming 10 days, and it looks like it's gonna be pretty cold during the night, so probably take a while until I can switch to my summer commuting bike. I just have to go on this bike with the studded tires for probably 2 more weeks or so. Woo! Although I can't really say I hate commuting like this. It's quite fun when you're slipping around on the ice. At least when you're feeling quite secure with studded tires. So as you see, I'm choosing the Icy Path here over the kind of slush on the side because it's much more stable here on the side. And for those of you who haven't tried cycling with studded tires, I can just inform you that even though we have bare ground as we have here, cycling with the studded tires is really tiresome. Probably takes twice as much energy to go the same distance because you're not really rolling anything. You have to pedal for every meter. And this loose gravel here can also be a bit dangerous. If you're taking a turn on this, you have to watch out because you might end up going down. It's really slippery. At least when it's dry. Now when it's wet it's not so bad. Now I'm approaching the section of my bike commute that I like the least. It's going through this industrial area. At this time of day it's a lot of people going home from their work. This is mainly the only stretch of my route that I'm actually in some sort of traffic. Otherwise I really don't have to interact with the cars. I think I just barely missed the rush hour here. It's almost 5 in the afternoon now, and most people that work here leave their work at 4, so that's why it's not that many cars right now. Bank. This is my father-in-law who's just waving to me here. If you haven't already watched the video from last week's commute, you can do so by clicking the link up in the corner here. Otherwise, thanks for riding with me today, and until next time, have a good one.